Hey guys, it's me again. Welcome back to another video. This is a live stream one because it's going to be pretty quick. It's an update on the game template project. So I have just finished the finite state machine feature, which I'm about to show you how to use and demonstrate. And in addition, I actually deleted the save system that was on it for now until I can do a little bit more testing, and I want to make it a bit more simple to use. But yeah, I just finished a finite state machine that's pretty cool. It's really easy to use. It has a little bit of functionality that kind of separates it from other systems. So let's go ahead and check it out. Let's see. Let me go over here. Okay, so I just have this base project. It's a game template. Actually, I've kind of made it into a platformer to demonstrate a couple things. But if you're not familiar with what a finite state machine is, then go look it up and then try implementing one on your own, and then come back to this and you'll kind of see what this does for you, okay? So a finite state machine, to sum things up, lets you execute specific code for specific states. So let's say you had a platformer and you were climbing a ladder. You would have one script. Let me go into my state machines. You'd have one script that would say maybe like state ladder, climbing ladder. And that would handle all the code that you would deal with while on the ladder, but you're not dealing with falling code and all that stuff. You just have transitions to other states. So if you like move yourself off the ladder, you would transition into maybe the falling state. Or if you're on the ground and you press the jump key, you would transition to a jumping state where different code would be ran per state you're in. So that's all good and dandy. So what I've already went ahead and did is set up the code for my horizontal move state and vertical move states. So what I actually do is have a different machine for my horizontal and my vertical states. So you could do all these in similar states or in one state machine, but I use multiple state machines. And many other kind of state machine systems that you use or people have made, you can only have one state machine basically per instance. And this state machine, you can actually have multiple state machines per instance, as many as you want. It's a dynamic data structure, and I'll show you how to use that, and it's really easy. But we're gonna go ahead and just do the vertical state for now. You'll see I just have two states, on ground and in air, okay? And you'll see in air, basically, I check if something's under me. If it is, or if it's not, then I fall. And if there is something under me, then I stop myself, right? So, yeah, that's all that is. And then when I do hit the ground, you'll see here, this is basically my ground check. This is saying I hit the ground and there's ground under me. So I changed my state to on ground, right? And I'm using an enum. With this system, you can also use strings. If you preferred, you could use on ground to identify your state, or you could even just use a number, but I'm choosing to use an enumeration, okay? So I have my on ground, and that's how you change states. Now, how do I actually get this going? Because if we actually go to my player guy, I don't have really any code in here. I just have some basic stuff. So how do we set this state machine up? Well, these top ones are the functions that you'll actually see in the project. So on the game template project, you'll see the state machine folder. This has all the functions that you'll need to use. You don't have to use all these. A lot of them are optional, but yeah, this is all the functions you can use. But I'm going back to my project, and let's initialize it. So how do you create a state machine? Like I said, you could create multiple state machines for one instance, and it's as simple as creating any other data structure in GameMaker. So I want to say this is going to be my vertical state machine, so I'm going to say v state machine, and I'm going to set it equal to state machine create. Okay, that's it. Now I have a identifier to my state machine that was created, and there's no reason to call it init or anything like that. State machine create takes care of all that for you. Okay, and now we need to add states to our machine, and we simply say state add. So we're adding a state to a machine. We have to give it state. Is this the right one actually? Yeah. I think I need to update the parameters in this. Let me make sure I did in the other one. Where state name. Yeah, I need to add the parameters. I'll fix that on Git. Down here it doesn't show that you actually have to specify your state machines, but you do have to specify your state machine. So just like any other data structure, you have to give an identifier, which is vStateMachine. And then you're going to give the state an identifier or a name. So you could say on ground or whatever here. But I'm using enums, so I have an enum already that's made. I'm going to use on ground. And then I give it a script to execute whenever I'm on the ground or whenever this is my current state. So that script is going to be state on ground. And there, we added that state in. And I'm going to copy and paste. And then I'm going to add an in air state. And then it's going to be state in air, okay? In air. Sorry. Okay, there we go. State add, state in air, state. Okay, and those are my two vertical states. And next I need to set a default state, which is going to be state, we'll do state set. So we actually have state change and state set, and I'll explain the difference in a minute. They're really minor difference, but you might choose to use one over the other. And I'm going to give it vStateMachine, and I'm going to set my default state to be in air because my player is actually starting in the air. There we go. So we have our vertical state machine set up, and now we need to tell it to do something with it. And that is simple. We just go into our step event and we say state execute, and then we tell it what state machine to run. And we want it to run the vStateMachine that we created. State machine. And that's going to begin executing your state machine. And then you just program your scripts. It's that simple. So let's say I'm in my in air. This is where I'm starting, right? I do my if y speed, blah, blah, blah. I apply gravity to my y speed. And then I check if something's under me. And if something is under me, then I call state change and I tell it what state to change to. This is my identifier. This is where you might use strings or whatever you choose to use. And it's going to change that state. And when it does change that state, this state on exit's actually going to get called. So this is kind of an extra feature in the state machine. So why would you want to use this? Well, what if you wanted to play a sound when you begin jumping, right? Or maybe you want to change your sprite when you begin jumping. You would use the state on exit, or maybe even the state on enter inside of your ground state. But anyway, let's go to the ground. So we have state change, state on ground. So that means this piece of code, this script is going to begin executing. And you'll see I have two different instances where I could change state into the air. Number one is I could press the jump key. And number two is I could walk off a ledge, basically. And then I would return to that in air state. So it's just a big loop. That's what a state machine is. Let's go ahead and see it in action now. Remember, I didn't do any of this code on stream just now. I just added the stuff to the state machine and then told it to execute. So there we go. Now we can jump up and down. And you'll see exiting in air. And I'll show you something else that's pretty powerful that you can use. Normally when you have state machines and you want to change sprites, for instance, let's say you're in the air and then you return to the on ground state. So let's go to our in air. And this is returning to the on ground state, correct? You might want to have a landing animation play, right? Well, wait, what you would actually have to do is you would have to go into your on ground state and you would have to make a variable like this. You'd have to say if state just began, then I went to play landing animation, whatever code you would have here, and then you would have to say state just began equals false. And then if you changed state, every time you change state, you'd have to say state just began equals true. And you'd have to kind of do that every time you change state and inside of every state. But instead, this takes care of that function for you. I can actually call if state on enter. Then I could say, let's see, let's do, this is on ground. So this is when I land. let's set our image blend. I'm gonna set my image blend to equal a random color. I'm gonna say random 255. I'm just gonna copy and paste this. So every time I land, it's gonna change my color. This is just demonstration. Okay. So if on state or state on enter, this is only going to play when your initial basic step of the first time the script is played during the state. Okay. So you could say this is where you might put your sprite change or whatever. Okay. We run it. So now when we land, we should have our color change. There we go. So on my on state enter, it's changing my ball's color, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's really powerful. And then once again, I could do the same thing, but maybe I'll do it if on state. Actually get rid of this one. If I return out of there, this down here wouldn't execute, obviously. But I could say if on state exit, then I will do the same code. I'll change my color again. So we should get, we land, change color, and then when we jump, we change color, right? So we landed, jump, land, jump. There you go. So you can see it's blinking. Awesome. So that works. Let me go ahead and show you how easy it is to implement a second state machine inside of the same instance. So I'm going to copy and paste this little section here. Let me go ahead and get that bigger for you guys. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this. I'm going to change from V state to H state machine for horizontal. Copy and paste all those. And then obviously the states are going to be different. So this one's going to be state walking. I have one, then I have a state dot idle, then I have a state dot sliding, state dot sliding. Okay, and I have to give all of these unique scripts, right? So state walking, I've already made these scripts. State idle, and then we have state sliding, and then I need to set my default state for this machine. Remember, this is a separate state machine than this one. So what did I do wrong here? State sliding. Why are you yelling at me? Let's see. Let's do state set H state machine. And then we're gonna set our default state to state idle because we're gonna be starting out not moving horizontally at all. Okay. And then let's see, where is this giving me an error for? Oh, I did state set here. This needs to be add. There we go. Oh, my daughter's here. Hey, baby. Doing a video. Here. Take it. Okay. Alrighty. Sorry. And let's hit play. And I should be able to go horizontally now. I've already done all this coding beforehand. Oh, I cannot go horizontal. Oh, I didn't tell it to execute. That's the next thing. You have to go to the step event of your player or whatever is executing this. And I have to do state underscore execute and tell it to start executing the state machine. So normally you'd have case, you'd have like switches and cases and pointing to other scripts and all those things. This kind of takes care of all that for you. So there you go. So now I can move horizontally. I have a little bit of friction here. I have my different states and I have my on exit and on enter states, properties. So you can easily change sprites and stuff without having to deal with all the different booleans and variables. So yeah, it's pretty cool. That's really all there is to it. There is a difference between change and set, state change and state set. So when you use state set, you could use that if you did not want, for example, my on ground. If you did not want the on exit or on enter to execute for the state you're transitioning into, you could use state set instead of change. And that's the only difference. State change will make it to where the next state, this will return true for the first iteration of that state, basically. And then if you use state change, then obviously this will return true, and then whatever code you have in here will execute. Remember, that's only the first time that this state is played, okay, that this will execute. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I think that's going to be about it for this one. Yeah, and yeah, thank you guys for watching, and if you liked, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.